Hi, welcome to the webinar. This is Eden. Do you want to go ahead and say in the chat who you are and where you're tuning in from? Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Start Your Natural Hair Product Line workshop for less money and in less time than you thought possible with Eden Croft. And we're going to go ahead and jump right into the information. Today, our agenda is as follows. I'm just going to do a brief introduction for about 5 minutes, let you know a little bit about myself so that you don't feel that you're speaking to a stranger. And then I'm going to talk about the number one ingredient for success and 5 ways to ensure that you have this ingredient. And then after that, we'll just go right into how to start your hair products business. And that'll probably be about 20 minutes or so. And then I will tell you about a quick start workshop offer that I'm going to be offering over the next 10 days, and that'll probably be about 10 minutes. Then I'm going to release the gift that I have for webinar attendees. Right after that, we'll go into Q&A. Okay, so I'm just going to hop on over back to the Google Hangouts just to see who's here and to see if anyone's speaking in the chat, and then we'll get started. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Eden Croft. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I am a mom of 2 kids, a 5-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son. And I live here with my kids and my husband. I mostly stay at home with my children, but I also create products. I have a natural hair care line that is for children who have curly, coily hair, intercultural curls or multicultural curls, whatever you want to call them, because my kids are biracial and my journey started with creating products for them. I also help other beautypreneurs, artisans, hairstylists create their own natural products. So my hair care line is called OGBOO, which stands for Organic Goo for Your Boo. And my teaching business is called Prosper in Beauty, and that's probably how you found me. So let's go on to talk about my journey with natural hair products. When I had my daughter, my learning curve with her hair type, even though I have natural hair, was really steep. I had dreads at the time, and my hair type is, if you're familiar with the hair types, it's probably a type 4. Both my parents are African. I was born and raised in Zimbabwe, so I have that hair type. And my daughter's hair type is different, so I just did what I was doing for my hair with her hair, and it just wasn't working. We live in a very dry climate. Her hair was dry and frizzy. It was hard to moisturize, tangled easily. I mean, I just didn't know what to do. But as I kind of perused what was available for children at that time, I just wasn't satisfied with the offerings. I just wasn't liking the ingredients, or if I found one of the ingredients that were decent and that worked, I didn't like the smell, or it just wasn't appropriate for the climate that I was in. So that's how I started making products, natural hair products, even though I had actually been making products for clients in the skincare area for years and actually had some wholesale accounts. So anyway, this is the before picture of my sweet Jubilee when she was about 2. This is at the family reunion. And then you fast forward to about 6 months to a year later when I'd finally figured everything out. That was her hair. Quite a transformation. So I really kind of had a steep learning curve, but I did learn. I did research, I did learn. I just went in there like a mad mixtress and I figured it out. So my mission is basically to shorten your learning curve. Okay, this is the typical learning curve that a person experiences. The more time goes on, you gain more experience and your learning increases. So when you start out, you're here, and then about at the 1 year mark, you're here, and then at the 2 or 3 year mark, you're here, and then you get, on in experience and age, and, you just know more and more. And then eventually, like if you look at the life of a human, the difference between a 70-year-old and a 90-year-old in terms of the knowledge they've accumulated isn't that great. But the difference between a 20-year-old and a 70-year-old is tremendous. So my mission is to really help people cut off their learning curve and be able to start a bit more ahead of the game. So instead of starting here, I like to meet people here and just bring them from 0 to here almost instantly. That's what I see my job as, and that's where I find the most joy. So, what is the mystery ingredient that you need for success? This is a picture of just a random jar of cream, and on it it says your brand name here, hair moisturizing cream. So we've all been visualizing this beautiful line of products, customers who love our products, who think our conditioner is the holy grail conditioner. We all want that for ourselves, and we want to be able to contribute to this movement in that way. But how do we get there? How do we get to 0 to having a raving fan base? Generosity. Generosity is the mystery ingredient that you must have in order for your line to be a success. You simply just have to conduct your business with exceptional generosity. And what does that mean? I'm going to go a little bit more into detail with what that means, with specifics of how you can apply that to your natural hair care line. And I only teach what I know. Okay, so I'm sure there's 50 ways to do this, but I'm going to teach you 5 things that I've learned from my own experience, from my personal experience of what it takes to be exceptionally generous in your business dealings and allow your business to be a success. I've learned this from my skincare line, and I'm now translating it into my hair care line, and this is what is working for me. The first thing is that you are not in business of beauty just to sell products. You're just not in the business of simply selling products. Anyone can do that, and a monkey can do that. But what you are in the business of doing is you are in the business of sharing knowledge. You are in the business of empowering people. You're in the business of taking care of people and of being of service. And so what that looks like is, educating people about their hair, about how to keep their hair healthy, about how to help their hair grow, about ingredients, the dangers of certain ingredients in products. It's teaching people about tools beyond your product line that they can use in their hair journey, whether it be how they should sleep on their hair, whether it be certain foods that they can eat that help with hair health, certain things to do in a humid climate or a dry climate that preserve the health of the hair. I have a children's line, so one of the things that we like to do is share books that teach children with curly and coily hair types to have great self-esteem and to value their hair in a diverse world where most of the time they see Elsa with long blonde straight hair. And so sharing books, sharing tools on how to get your children to enjoy bath time and hair time as opposed to making it a chore and an ordeal. So that's part of the service, that's part of the knowledge. Not just always trying to sell them the best conditioner, but, teaching people how to keep a preschooler's hair tangle free when they're like dragging their head on the carpet, which preschoolers love to do. So basically what you are is a place where they can go to for knowledge and information. If you focus on that, the products will sell themselves. The products will just fly off the shelves because they will see you as a go-to expert, and you will be feeding them beyond just the bottle that you're selling them. And you're empowering them to make better choices. The second thing that allows you to be exceptionally generous in your business is niching down. And what I mean by that is you really can't be in the business of thinking, oh, I'm going to have this conditioner and it's going to be for every natural hair type. It's going to be for, straight hair and wavy hair and really coily hair and, biracial hair and this. And there are some people who do that, who have a brand that sort of says hair is hair and caters to everyone. And some of them have achieved extraordinary success, but even they have niched down perhaps in their branding. Maybe they're targeting a certain socioeconomic group. They're targeting hipsters or so forth. I mean, everyone is niching down to a certain degree who is successful, which is why their ads all look the same. They aren't advertising to every single person in the world. So the way you can niche down is really think about what community do you want to serve. In my hair care line, I ended up choosing, biracial children or intercultural children who have, who are African descent, African American, Afro-Caribbean, whatever kind of African descent child with at least one parent who is of African descent with very tight, curly, coarse hair. So not biracial children who have wavy hair or straight hair or loose ringlets, but people who have children whose hair is coarser and tighter and more afro-textured, but also slightly curly. That is a very specific niche, a very specific age group. And are there people who use my product outside of that range? Yes. One of my most loyal customers is a Caucasian lady. She's in her 60s and she has really, really thick hair, and it's gray, but it's straight as a bone. But as we know, gray hair can be wiry and it does its own thing. And she just finds the product, especially in Phoenix, especially in the winter, to be exceptional for her hair. She just can't use other kinds of products. So there are always going to be exceptions to the rule, but let the exceptions find you. Don't focus on them. Focus on your core audience and become the expert on just that type of thing. And the person who has that issue will come looking for you and will view you as an expert and will become a loyal customer. And when you niche down, you can afford to find the best products, to find the best ingredients, because you're creating a very narrow area in which you are operating. So that means you can put more energy into that area instead of having a large area that you're focusing on and having to stretch your resources over 10 different products because you're catering to everyone. You can just have start off with a shampoo and a conditioner and just really put your heart and soul into those and really make those the best of the best. And even in terms of your marketing dollars, if you're focusing on just one area, your marketing dollars will go further as well. So niching down becomes really important in terms of making your brand distinct, but also allows you to really become knowledgeable and give of your best in every area to your customer. The third thing is setting fair prices. Now, when I say set fair prices, a lot of you are going to be thinking, well, try to be the most value driven brand or be cost effective or see if you can get into Dollar General. When I say set fair prices, I don't mean set cheap prices. I mean set fair prices. And fair means not just fair to the consumer, but fair to you. What is a price point where even if you discount, even if you have a big sale on Cyber Monday, or if you end up with a distributor and you have a wholesale account, even if you have to cut your price in half and give the distributor a cut, would still be a comfortable place for you to make a profit. That's a fair price to you. And obviously, if you're creating value by providing education and sourcing quality ingredients and creating a quality product, people are not going to quibble with you about why your conditioner costs $28 or $18 or however much you're charging. So you want to really charge a fair price and the appropriate price. And I teach that pricing structure in my courses. But even by watching something like Shark Tank or Googling, you can figure it out eventually what an appropriate price structure is. Usually anywhere from 4 times to 6 times your cost is a good place to start. And then as you operate, you can see if the price needs to go higher or if eventually as you grow, perhaps it become lower. But you really want to start higher and then go lower. You don't want to start low and then increase your prices because that is usually a more difficult sell. And also just in the area of fair does not mean cheap. If you price yourself too low, it's going to be very difficult for you to be generous. Part of the whole spirit of generosity is you've got to feel joy in your heart. You've got to feel generous in your heart as you're doing it. You can't be generous on the outside and be grudging on the inside because I think that sends a mixed message to the universe. I'm, a person who believes in a spiritual life, and yes, I'm going to say universe on this call. I'm going to say God on this call. I just don't believe that, you can feel stingy inside and do the right thing on the outside. It just doesn't work that way. It has to, what's outside has to be inside. So in order to not feel stingy, then your price structure needs to be generous to you as well. That way you will always feel generous as you are giving. The fourth thing is add a personal touch. A personal touch, there's so many different ways to do it. You can do webinars so people can get to know your voice and see your face. You can keep a personal tone in the emails. Every time you send out a package, a handwritten note. I always include a handwritten note in every package that I send out as often as I can. Allow people to call you. Create set hours where people can call you with their questions. Allow people to email you and answer each email personally. But be a real person. People need to know that you are not a robot, so they shouldn't feel like interacting with you is like just interacting with a machine or some outsourced person in another country. Even if you are using outsourced people in another country, you have to appear from behind the internet at some point. Okay. And I'm sorry I'm not doing that right this second, but I'm still figuring out this Google Hangout and I don't know how to make my face appear on the camera. But I promise next week on the webinar, I will have figured that out. The fifth thing is give back. It can be in the form of free product that you give for raffles or events. It can be, free products that you give to shelters. There are always emergency shelters for children who are going into foster care, or maybe for parents who adopt a lot of foster kids or adopt a lot of kids. There are always ways to donate, natural disasters. You can also donate of your time, whether it's mentoring young girls to do what you're doing. So teaching a workshop like what I'm teaching, just take this information and then go to a local, high school or teenage home and teach the same information. You'll have it, why not? Or mentoring someone, keeping them under your wing and, giving them a job at the farmer's market, or, but just find a way of giving back. It could be a percentage of your profits to organizations you care about. But whatever you do, it has to be sincere, has to be something that you truly care about, that you want to see a difference in. And, that will make it, it'll just make it resonate and create that feeling of abundance and generosity within your own heart. But it'll also make you become consistent, because the more you give time to it, the more you'll care about it and the more you'll keep showing up for it. And the universe loves consistency. So let's talk product line now. This is mainly why you're here. You're here to learn how to create your own product line. And I just want to say that this is not rocket science. It's not some pie in the sky ideal. Your dream is within reach. And, a lot of people, you'll see a lot of people who are not scientists. They don't know much about science and they somehow have their product line. Well, how did they do it? It's doable. People just don't seem to want to share the information. But I think that we live in an age now where we need to get past that. So let's do away with the myth that you need a lab coat and an Erlenmeyer flask and you have to be some kind of genius to create a product line. Even to create it yourself, even to create your own formulas, you don't need any of that. It's something that anyone who has the determination to do it and who allows themselves the time to develop the skill can accomplish. So let's talk about bulk bases. This is the easiest entry point into owning your own line, okay? So bulk bases basically are pre-made formulas that certain manufacturers make, and they're sold in bulk to the public. You can buy them by the ounce or by the gallon, and they have shampoos, conditioners, body lotions, makeup, whatever, you name it, they have it. And they're ready for you to purchase. You can either purchase the bulk gallon size or a 16-ounce size or a 1-ounce sample, or some of the companies have it to where you can actually choose packaging. And so then you can order, say, a 4-ounce, like 28 4-ounce creams in a white package. And some of them might even do some of the graphic design in-house for you too. So you would just have a box of 28 creams show up on your doorstep ready to sell. So you could ship those to Amazon and sell them off of Amazon. You could create your own website. You could sell them on webinars. You could have a farmer's market stall and do it that way. You could do exclusively craft fairs. Some of these beauty schools have trade shows. So maybe you would just go to trade shows and have blank bottles that people can put their own labels on and sell at their booth when they open their salon, or when they get a booth or get a chair in someone else's salon or whatever. But it's a really easy entry point into the industry. And there are no minimums usually. You can buy as much or as little as you want, but obviously the more that you buy, the better the pricing will be. And in the gift that I'm going to be giving you later, there's going to be a whole bunch of notes, so you don't have to worry about taking notes. But some of the companies that are best known for doing this are Essential Wholesale. That's an amazing company, especially in the skincare line, honestly. To be honest, Essential Wholesale is better for skincare and maybe some of the raw ingredients. Ingredients to Die For is excellent for natural hair of our texture. If you are looking for hair products for Afro textured hair, then you probably want to look at Ingredients to Die For first before you look anywhere else. And they have a great ingredient line as well as an excellent formulary, which we'll get to later. So the second way is to just create things from scratch by yourself in your own kitchen. And yes, it is legal to do so. There is no law saying that you can't do that. The cosmetics industry is actually really unregulated, which is why, even though BPAs are banned in baby bottles, you're totally allowed to formulate things with all kinds of BPAs, like fake fragrances and parabens and this and that. All those things are in cosmetics in the United States, and many of those things are banned in Europe. But in the States, we're still using them. It's unfortunate, but it's true. But yes, there are some laws that you need to get around, but they basically are common sense things, like label your ingredients accurately. Don't make false medical claims about things. Even though many of us know that herbs can heal, you have to be very careful about how you share that information. And there are ways to do that in a way that doesn't get you into trouble. So free formulas, companies that create cosmetic ingredients and raw materials, they have free formularies because it helps them to sell their product. So obviously they include formulas that highlight some of their ingredients, feature some of their products, so that people, artisans like yourself and like myself, can look and be like, oh, that's a great idea. Oh, this looks interesting. So you can just, it's like watching the Food Network and seeing people make different stuff. It gives you ideas of things you can make in your own kitchen. Well, it's not any different when you peruse the formularies of these companies. You get ideas of products you can make or how you can tweak certain things. You get an idea of how a product is used, what its purpose is. And a lot of these companies also have just general theory about how to formulate. So that is helpful as well. And one of the advantages of getting free formulas from the internet is that it's free, duh. We love free stuff. It's easy to access once you know where to look and how to search for them. If you do a Google search for free formulas, it'll lead you to one company and then to another. Also, sometimes you'll find companies by mistake while you're looking up certain ingredients. And I will give you, a few companies where you can find cosmetic ingredient formulas. But one of the advantages of looking at formulas is that when you're starting out from nowhere and you're just kind of fumbling around in the dark and you're just stabbing at anything just to figure out where do I start, these free formulas, whether they work for our hair or not, they give you a framework that you can that you can grab onto and start to grasp what formulating for this hair type is, what ingredient proportions to start with, what ingredients are featured, starting to understand the purpose of what certain things do. And it just gives you a frame of reference that you can start from and develop. So that's a good thing. I think it gives you a skill that doesn't leave you. So all that knowledge stays with you, even if you end up without a formula that you can use in the first few months. Eventually, if you keep going, you'll figure it out. The cons are that not all formulas are created equal. And by that, I mean some of the formulas, some of them just plain out suck. And then some of the other formulas that are okay are just not appropriate for natural hair. They're just certain ingredients that natural hair doesn't like, or certain proportions of ingredients that natural hair doesn't like. And, by trial and error, you figure that out. So it's a steep learning curve. You'll waste a lot of time and resources doing that. Not a terrible amount, but definitely time you will lose. And you'll lose some resources. Hopefully you aren't buying, gallons of ingredients before you've tried them out. You want to buy small amounts and try the little formulas until you start to figure out what ingredients work and what don't. But the only con, it just depends on your personality type. If you really are ready to embrace this, it won't stop you. But if you're a person who's easily discouraged, or you have a lot of distractions in your life, or you just don't want it badly enough, it can discourage you from trying and being like, well, to hell with this. It takes too much time and it doesn't work. And you really do need a cosmetic chemist, and ain't nobody got time for that. And, the next thing you know, you've shelved the dream yet again. But companies of note to look for formulas from making cosmetics. I am not enamored necessarily with their ethnic hair formulas. For some people, they work. For other people, they don't. I didn't necessarily have the best experience with the formula part, but what I do like is that they have amazing ingredients if you look through their hair care sections, and a lot of them actually do work well for people of color. You just need to figure out your own proportions, and they have a lot of great theory on their website on how to make shampoos, the components of a conditioner, and this and that. So it's a great place to educate yourself, and a great place to find things that you can experiment with. Ingredients to die for. I honestly haven't tried their formulas, but I suspect their formulas are amazing simply because they have the best bulk bases for natural hair. So I would really take a gander at their formulas and, try. They even have formulas for natural hair given that I have some experience now with formulating for natural hair, I can look at the proportions in their formulas and be like, yeah, this looks like it would work really well. So I would really start there in terms of if you're serious about learning how to teach yourself, bootstrapping, doing it yourself all the way, I would go to ingredients to die for first. Another thing is you can outsource all of your hairline project. You can outsource the whole thing to a project manager or part of it to a project manager. But you don't necessarily have to do every single thing. You don't have to, do the formulation, the manufacturing, the branding and graphic design and printing the labels and shipping and fulfillment and customer service and marketing. You can find one person who can handle all of that for you, and they will assemble a team of people who can take care of each part. Or you can maybe outsource formulation and manufacturing to one place, and then branding to another, and printing labels to another, and have a fulfillment company handle your shipping and returns, and then do the marketing yourself. I mean, there are different ways that you can do this. I suggest you learn to do as much as possible, but eventually you're going to find one or two things that you're better off outsourcing as you grow. And manufacturing will probably be the first thing that you outsource once you grow at a certain level and you know that your product is selling. So, when you're hiring a project manager, you want to find someone you resonate with, someone who listens to you, someone who grasps your vision, but also someone who understands the industry and can guide you into the most realistic version of your vision, and can help offset some of the learning curve, and and who you trust, obviously. And I would say that you want somebody who's consistently checking in with you, and not just sort of ignoring you, or making them the authority over you, because you don't want to just give it away, because then you'll end up with something that you don't really feel is yours. So that there's a balance there. But I think that learning how to do the process yourself, and then hiring a project manager, say, to expand your line, or if you want to branch out into other niches, is not a bad idea. Paid courses and group coaching programs, that's another great way to learn. Whether it be through books, whether it be through actual seminars and workshops that are physical that you attend, or online workshops that you attend. I really like these because, they put the power in your hands. And what I mean by that is that you learn how to do it yourself. You physically learn how to do something. And so once you have that knowledge, once you have that education, it's inside of you. No one can take that away. You can do it again and again. You can replicate the process. You can teach other people how to do it. You can oversee the process. If everything burns to the ground, you can just pick up and start again. Whereas if you outsource everything from the beginning, if things go wrong, you're always dependent on someone else to fix it for you on some level. And that's kind of disempowering. So even if you choose to never deal with it again, and just always be on the overseeing part, to manage something, you need to know what you're managing. And I think that these coaching programs and paid programs really help you understand that, because you're first forced to learn to formulate, forced to learn to market, all those little things that you have to figure out about the industry. You're also pulled along by group momentum, and you make lasting connections with other people. If you have a timeline to have formulated your conditioner, or have figured out your niche, or have bought all your ingredients by week 3 of a group program, you're more likely to do it. Even if you end up running a little bit late, you'll still be further along than if you'd been at home twiddling your thumbs or finding excuses not to do the work. So that is part of it. You also get applause from other people. Sometimes, our friends and family don't appreciate what we're doing. They just roll their eyes because, they don't have the same vision that you do for what you're creating. And they don't have share the same passion. I could talk about shea butter till I'm blue in the face, But, my friends and family are like, oh my God, thank God you have other people to talk to about that. So having someone who's doing what you're doing to talk to is really helpful. It's really beneficial. It really pulls you along. You get further than you would have otherwise. Having a mentor is important. Someone who can give you real time feedback and who can kind of act like an accountability partner. So, it's like you are the sum of the people you hang out with. So if you keep hanging out with people who tell you that your dream is unrealistic versus hanging out with people who encourage you and understand that your dream is not only realistic, but they understand how you can grab a hold onto it, and they're doing the same things themselves, you're more likely to go along with that flow. It's kind of a less lonely and more focused way to spend your dollars. You also get a mentor who's invested in your success. Mentors are going to be invested in your success because your success story helps them to gain more students, to gain more credibility. So, of course, they're invested in you figuring things out, if they're a good mentor. Okay, so let's go on to my free gift. Tomorrow I'm going to be emailing you a link to download a special report that I created. It's about 4 or 5 pages, and it's just chock full of information, all the stuff that I shared with you tonight, so that if you don't get a chance to watch the replay or you weren't taking notes and you were just listening, you don't have to feel like, oh gosh darn it, I missed what she said earlier and what was that thing she said. It'll all be there in this quick and dirty guide to launching your natural hair product line for less money and in less time than you think. Pardon me, I'm just going to drink some water here. Sorry, my water bottle is so noisy. Okay, so in it you will find in the dirty guide, down and dirty guide, it's not a dirty guide, but the down and dirty guide to, it's the quick and dirty guide actually. The quick and dirty guide, you'll find a summary of the do-it-yourself methods that I outlined earlier today. You'll find resources to companies that can help you with bulk bases, free formulas, branding and packaging, and raw ingredients. All right, so now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the offer I have for you. It's a fast track to conditioners workshop. And it truly is, I'm not just saying it because it's something I created, but it truly is the fastest way to create nourishing conditioners that sell for coily and curly hair types. And so why I created this workshop, let's talk about that a little bit. When I figured out how to do this, not just how to create curly hair products, but when I figured out this method that I'm going to teach in this workshop, I felt like a thief. I really did, because it made everything so systematic. It made things easy to store. It made me able to whip up conditioner orders really, really fast. And it also, creates other business ideas on, I'll get to that in a minute. But you could do just one part of this 3-part process, and that one part could be a whole separate business apart from your natural hair care business, or you could just abandon the hair care business and only do that one part. And what that part is the conditioner base block. Now, the base block basically looks like a bar of soap. And what it is all the oil-soluble components of a conditioner and emulsifier all melted into one block. And when you go to make your conditioner, all you do is cut off a piece of the block, you melt it, you mix it with water and preservative, and you have a conditioner. If you want to get fancy, instead of water, you can add, tea extracts or botanical extracts or whatever. But either way, you pretty much can make conditioner in 5 minutes. You know, you're just melting, blending, bottling. That's it. Very little measuring going on. Usually, when you make a conditioner, there's probably about 6 ingredients, and you have to measure them all separately, and then you have to heat them all separately, like all the oil soluble things together, all the water soluble things together, all the heat sensitive things separately added once the mixture has cooled down. And it's a process. And I think that part of that really intimidates people and prevents them from ever starting. So the conditioner base block is a great way to store your products, because you can just create tons and tons of blocks and just have them sitting in there, and it's not like it's super perishable. I mean, it could probably last for a good 18 months before being of questionable preservation quality, I guess. And it really is easy to do. It's economical. You could actually just sell the base block to other people, sell the base block to hairdressers, sell the base block to thrifty moms who want to save money, sell the base block to other artisans at the farmers market who haven't branched into hair products yet. Sell the base block at beauty supply stores, sell the base block at arts craft stores. Maybe I'll see you on Shark Tank with your base block pitching, Mark Cuban or Lori Grenier to go into Michael's. I don't know. But the base block is really, really a great idea. And, another thing about the base block is that it helps people overcome their fear of emulsions. I know that sounds crazy, but people are scared of emulsions. An emulsion is just a mixture of oil and water. But we all know that oil and water don't mix. If you pour some water in a glass and you pour some oil over it, the oil is just going to float on top of the water. You can shake the bottle up and it seems like it's mixed for a while, but you set it down and 30 seconds later it's separated back into oil and water. But what helps oil and water mix is an emulsifier, bihydramonium methosulfate. Those of you that read conditioner ingredients, that's an emulsifier. Emulsifying wax is an emulsifier. Stearyl alcohol, a lot of the fatty alcohols, they're thickeners, but they also have emulsifying properties when they're mixed with other emulsifiers. So once you start adding an emulsifier to the mix, people get confused and scared and like intimidated, like, oh my God, how much of the emulsifier do I need? And la la la. And all their confidence and all their mixtress genius seems to kind of sit in the back of the room and, just defer to the lab coat in the room. Well, emulsions aren't really that scary. And I do teach those in deeper conditioner courses. But in this course, we're just going to make a base block. We're going to melt the base block, add water to it and preservative, and have conditioner. So you don't even have to really deal with emulsions. But the funny thing is that by melting the base block with liquid and preservative, you're actually creating an emulsion. So it kind of helps to overcome that initial fear of it's kind of like the training wheels on a bike, and the base block are your training wheels. Eventually, you'll take the training wheels away and you'll just ride your bike and you won't even know that you're riding, because you skipped that step of being all scared and crashing into the rose bushes. Another thing that people get scared of is that this is going to take way too much time. They probably spend more time fearing how much time it's going to take than how much time it actually takes. And there is no excuse. I mean, the conditioner base blocks probably take about an hour, maybe an hour and a half to make. And the prep time in that is probably going to be about 15 to 20 minutes when you're starting, just because you're slow. And then by the time you're a pro, it's probably going to be 10 to 15 minutes, because you're really just measuring stuff, putting it in a big pot, melting it, and then you're taking that mixture and you're pouring it into molds, right? And the molds are silicone, so it's not even like you have to grease them or anything. As soon as it cooled, and then you leave it. You just walk off and you go take a shower or go to the park with your kids. You come back, it's hard, and you just pop them out and you put those in a Ziploc bag or a container wherever you want to store them. And it's no big deal. It doesn't create a big mess. Another thing that people are afraid of. It doesn't take up that much time. And honestly, it's not going to be that expensive, because you can buy as much or as little of an ingredient as you want. You can make as much or as little of the conditioner that you want. And once you know what to do when you're not experimenting by yourself, looking for formulas on the internet, you're not going to be wasting a ton of money on ingredients. So it really just overcomes so many things that the inner critic, everyone has an inner critic that's trying to tell them that they can't do stuff that they really are ordained to do, that it silences that critic, okay? Because it overcomes any objection that that critic has, you know? So I'm here to say, I know that the idea of creating stuff can be scary, and I also know that many of you who are in this webinar, who are listening to this or watching this, you're go-getters, okay? So you already know how to do things. You're already moving and shaking. I've given you enough information that some of you are just going to go out there, and in 2 years, I'm going to be buying your stuff in Target. You know, you're just like that. But for some of us, it's the overwhelm that keeps us crippled, that keeps us stuck in the same place, the lack of supportive community. My mission is to share information, and those who don't need hand-holding can just take that information and run. And people who want to take that information and go deeper, or who want to take that information and have some guidance, or want to take that information and shorten their learning curve, I always have something to offer them. And I'm here to say that if you don't want to spend like 3 months, if you're really super focused, or a year, if you're just kind of taking your time and taking breaks, trying to figure out formulas on the internet, you don't want to spend a ton of money, because ain't nobody got time for that. I can help you with this workshop that I'm creating. And in this workshop, you'll learn how to whip up conditioners in just 10 minutes flat using the base block method. You'll learn how to use the base block itself as a solid business plan. That's just an extra thing I'll throw in there for you. And the base block is great for making conditioners. Sorry, I have to take another sip of water here. It's not just great for making conditioners, it's actually something that you can use as a base for other products, like braiding creams, curl creams, creme gelées. The list goes on, but any sort of creamy hair products, even some curl refreshers that are creamy, right? Leave-in conditioners. Any sort of creamy hair product that you put in natural hair, the base block is something that can be the base of that. So that alone can create tons of different products for you. And the workshop price is really, I thought about it, and you're going to ask me, Eden, why are you making this so inexpensive? I'll tell you why. Because I think that this is my breakthrough offering that allows you to ask yourself, am I really ready to do the things I say that I want to do? Are you really ready to say yes to yourself? Because if you're really ready to say yes to yourself, the offer is really there's nothing to think about, honestly, because look at the pricing structure here. To outsource a 4 product line, depending on how much your person is involved, is probably going to be in the region of about $10,000. It might be less if you already know how to formulate and you have an idea of where to go. But if you're just kind of throwing something at someone, the least amount that outsourcing that will be is about $10,000. Group coaching program. My introductory group coaching program is $2,600. And I have others that are higher, but for the basic group coaching program is $2,600. For a course where you're learning how to do it yourself, full line, including marketing, $1,200. For a shampoo and conditioner group intensive, $600. Okay, a strategy session, whether you do niche discovery session or an ingredient mapping session, whatever kind of strategy session, $285. Just a basic consultation fee, $185. My ebooks range from $67 to $147. So the conditioner base bar workshop is $47. $47. And what you're going to learn is really a crucial step and a foundational step in a lot of my other courses. You could take this, create a ton of products, not just conditioners, and then get a shampoo bulk base. But by the time you're done learning how to formulate a base bar and create conditioners from it and braiding creams and God knows what else from it, learning how to make shampoo on your own won't be a big deal, or you can take a shampoo workshop or whatever. But, if you're saying that I can't afford to take a big course, or I don't have time to take a big course, or I don't have the resources to outsource my product line project, this is such a great way to get your feet wet. This is a great way to say yes to yourself, to say yes to your own divine calling, to say yes to the universe, to saying yes to whatever it is God has ordained for you, or spirit, or whatever force that's really running things that you surrender to. This is a great way to get your feet wet. It really is. And sorry, I just had a small crash here. Not to worry. But not only is it only $47, but today, for people who buy over the next few days, before the formal registration goes up, I'm just doing a small pre-launch of it. If you buy during this pre-launch phase before the formal registration page goes up, it's going to be $37. So it's $10 off just for being decisive, just for being an early bird. And the workshop agenda, I'm basically going to tell you how I discovered the conditioner base block method. And in that story is kind of an interesting lesson of how people turn business away. People, are begging to give you money and you turn business away. It's a very interesting story there. I'm going to cover the components of a conditioner so that you can create your own base blocks, and also just so you can understand the breakdown of a conditioner, so that when you're ready to move on to create conditioners from scratch and not just from base blocks, you'll have that knowledge. So that's what the components of a conditioner and the basic template for base blocks will do for you. I will also show you a video or slideshow of how to make the base block, and a video slideshow of how to make conditioner from the base block. So we're going to make the base block on screen, and then we're going to make conditioner from the base blocks that we've made on screen so that you can see the process for yourself. And then we'll talk about the base block itself as a self-contained business apart from a natural hair product line, and we'll open it to Q&A after that. I do want to let you know that there will be PDFs and worksheets and all kinds of stuff that will accompany those lessons, I guess, during the workshop. I have several bonuses that I'm including as part of the registration. One is a directory of resources for all your raw ingredients and formulas and packaging and design and all of that. We're going to also be giving you a resource sheet of botanicals that make your conditioners pop. It's probably going to be about 40 or 50 botanicals in there that I go into in detail of how they can help you and where you can get them and how you would use them in what kind of formulation. And that is what really is going to help your conditioner stand out. I have the same resource as well for oils. I've separated the botanicals and the oils because most of the botanicals honestly are water soluble, and most of the oils, well, are oils. So they kind of come in different categories. And for the first 10 people to sign up, I'll be offering a free 30-minute niche discovery session, one-on-one. And I usually charge $285 for a strategy session. So, and a strategy session usually lasts about 90 minutes. But because you're going to be in class with me, you probably won't need as long. So you're pretty much getting a niche discovery session for free. That's a huge value. And you can choose between niche discovery, which is critical for kind of zoning in on being generous, like we talked about, and finding keen, focused, specific success. Or you can have an ingredient mapping session, which is another component of success. And maybe you know your niche and you just want to zone in on what ingredients work, or you want to troubleshoot, or you just don't even know where to start with ingredients. Ingredients is kind of overwhelming for some people. You can do that too. So, but I only have room for 10 people, okay, because of my schedule. So it's the first 10 people that sign up. They're the ones who are going to get the session. Okay, so now we can open it up to Q&A. I'm going to try and figure out where the chat is here so we can go to questions. I'm not actually seeing any questions on the chat. I will go and look at the workshop and see if there are any questions in there. Well, it looks like sorry guys, I'm just trying to figure this out for a second here. It looks like we have a bit of a shy crowd, no questions, or as my mother used to say, God rest her soul, it means you either understood everything or you understood nothing. I'm hoping it's because you understood everything. But you know what? Sometimes questions come to you later. So if you like, you are most welcome to email me at eden@prosperinbeauty, eden@prosperinbeauty, with any questions that you have. I'm just going to go ahead and throw up the link right here to the registration for the workshop, and I'll also email you guys later when I get home with the registration for the workshop. So it looks like the Fast Track to Conditioners That Sell workshop link is up. Hopefully you can see it. And like I said, until about Monday, the price is $37. And then after that, the price goes up to $47. And the workshop is not this Sunday, it'll be next Sunday, probably around, I'm thinking probably 9 a.m. my time. And I know that might be difficult for some of you who attend spiritual services. But I'm on West Coast time. So for you East Coasters, that'll be perfect. But I'll just see how many East Coasters I have versus West Coasters. For me, Sunday, I usually, my spiritual practices, Saturday is a spiritual day for me. So Sunday, I'm free to do it. And I know that a lot of people are off on Sundays as well. I could also probably do it in the afternoon if a lot of people prefer that. But we'll just play it by ear and see what people want to do. So Sunday is going to be the 10th. Sunday, the 10th of April is the day. Sunday, the 10th of April is the day of the workshop. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this time. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your ears. I appreciate your energy. And, feel free to share the information with your friends or with your stylist or with anyone who needs the information, not just about the workshop, obviously, but all the things that came before it. And for all you do-it-yourselfers, I want to know about your progress. Write to me and tell me how you're doing. And we'll have another webinar next week on another topic. All right. Thanks for joining me. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.